Investigators also saying Paddock was armed with a lot of weapons. They say they found 50 pounds of explosives and 1,600 rounds of ammunition inside his car in Las Vegas. They say they also found dozens of guns inside his hotel room. Some of them carried those bump stocks that allow the gun to fire hundreds of rounds per minute. Those bump stocks in particular are strengthening calls for gun control tonight on both sides of the political aisle. But 4 in Your Corner Sam Sosa finding out that local Republican lawmakers are not really feeling the pressure to follow suit. Sam?
Pat, for years, even decades, Republicans have resisted gun legislation that could limit how and what you can own. But after this week's massacre in Las Vegas, things have changed. Florida Republican Carlos Curbelo is expected to introduce legislation today banning the sale of bump fire stocks. I asked your representatives right here in Southwest Florida if they're on board.
You've probably heard the word bump stock this week. Many of you for the first time. This is what it looks like, allowing semi-auto firearms to fire faster, similar to fully automatic weapons.
If you do have knowledge on firearms, you know bump stocks aren't really all that hard to get. Although they're not always readily available in gun stores, all it takes is a Google search to find one for sale online. Like here's one for 150 bucks.
A bump stock was reportedly used to carry out the attack in Las Vegas that killed 59 people. Now, lawmakers are taking action to make them not so easy to get. Democratic Florida Senator Bill Nelson sponsoring a bill with California Democrat Dianne Feinstein to ban bump stocks. At the same time, Republican Congressman Carlos Curbelo, also here in Florida, plans to introduce legislation to ban the gun modification tool. This morning, Congressman Vern Buchanan, who represents the district just north of Southwest Florida, including Manatee County, tweeted this, signaling his support for bump stock limits. Bump stocks generating automatic rates of fire should face the same restrictions as automatic weapons.
Hi, this is Sam.
I made several calls to try to find out what our representatives think about the sale of bump stocks. Republican Congressman Tom Rooney, who represents parts of Charlotte County, sending me this statement. I would support legislation banning bump stock sales. These allow semi-automatic weapons to fire at a rate comparable to fully automatic weapons, which have been illegal since 1986. Meanwhile, Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, another Republican who represents parts of Collier County, saying he thinks the sale of bump stocks should at least be investigated. I believe it's time Congress seriously considered the legality of bump stocks, he says in a statement. We still haven't heard Republican Francis Rooney's stance on bump stocks, but in an interview with 4 in Your Corner yesterday, he says stricter gun laws won't save us from potential mass shooters.
Although I didn't have much trouble finding bump stocks online, many of the sites offering them no longer have them in stock tonight. It seems they've become a hot item. Coming up at 6:30, hear what the NRA is saying about bump stock regulations. We'll investigate that organization's influence over the people you've elected to Congress. In the studio, Sam Sosa, Fox 4, in Your Corner.